ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Any questions, clarifications before we go ahead? We had completed the second sutra last time. We had a summary, clarification, etc. Is there anything else? There's nothing. We can go into the third sutra. The third sutra says Shastra Yonitvat. Okay. So it's a Shastra Yonitva Adhikarana. Shastraha Yonihi Yena. Who is the source of the Shastra? Now this is meant to establish Sarvajñatvam for Brahman. Okay. It has already been said a little bit in the second sutra, but more. Okay. More detailed. Yeah. So as usual we have to establish a separate adhikarana, we need what? Subject matter, Purvapaksha, Siddhanta, yaad hai sab? Okay, all that we need. Okay. So as usual there are two verses on it. Okay. I'm sure all of you have it. I sent it to all of you. Okay. The first sutra deals with the Purvapaksha. Na kartuhu Brahma Vedasya kim va kartuhu Vedasya kartaha Brahman va nava. Is Brahman is the cause of the Veda or not? Na kartruta. No, Brahman is not the cause. Okay. Why? Virupa nityaya bodhas bodheyam Virupa nityaya vachityevam nityatva varnanat. He says no. Brahman is not the karta. Why? Nityatva varnanat. Veda has been presented as nitya. Veda is not made by any person. Therefore, Brahman is not the karta. Because Veda, in fact, this is the Mimamsa standpoint. They take the Veda as nitya. Therefore, a nitya vastu cannot have a creator, a maker. Therefore, Brahman is not the creator. Now, if Brahman doesn't become the creator of the Veda, what will be the problem involved? Think of it. I want you to recognize what will be the problem involved.
Validity of the Vedas.
Huh?
Validity.
Beg your pardon?
Validity of the Vedas if it's not being created
Okay, yeah, validity, because it will have, if it is not created by Brahman and if it has been created by somebody else, then the validity will be in question. Okay, validity will be in question because Purusha dosha will be there. The limitation of the person will come into the picture. But here he is saying Veda is nitya. And if Brahman is the cause, is not the cause, something else will have to be the cause. And meaning cause for what? For Jagat itself. Because Brahman is not the cause of Veda. Therefore, Sarvajñatvam for Brahman is under question. If Sarvajñatvam for Brahman is under question, then what is the cause for Jagat? Even though previous sutra established Janmadhyasya Yataha established Brahman as Karana. But that can be challenged if Brahman is not the cause of the Veda. Because, get it. You are saying there is a God. And God is responsible for all your spiritual and moral this. That knowledge comes from God. What about physics, science, chemistry, etc.? That is not subject matter for God. Then what will happen to God? Alpajnatvam. So when you are saying Veda here, you are indicating all knowledge. Prathama Malla Nyayena. Okay, by the logic of the Prathama Malla, the world champion boxer, you are indicating all types of knowledge. The source has to be Brahman. If something else is the source, then Brahman becomes a finite guy. Bhagavan becomes a finite guy. He is mighty character but not almighty. He is knowledgeable but not all knowledge. Those type of issues will come up. Therefore, Sarvajñatvam has to be presented for Brahman by saying Brahman is a cause for the Veda itself. Then that is being answered. That Purva Paksha is being answered by saying Kartuhu Nishwasitaduktehi Nityatvam Pura Samanvayat Nityatvam Purva Samyataha Sarvam Vibhasikatevasya Kartutvat Sarva Vedavya. Kartuhu Vedasya Kartaha Brahmaneva. Why? In the Veda there is a statement, okay, that Ishwarena Brahmanena Nishwasitam Veda. The Veda was breathed out. That breathing out is to show an effortlessness on the part of the Creator. Like breathing. You will think about breathing. Only when you are doing a pranayama, you will think about it. Otherwise, breathing happens. So, similarly, very naturally. And why is it said Nishwasitam also? Okay. When you are writing a book, okay, first you have to have the knowledge. Then you have to have the Vakya Jnanam, the knowledge of the sentence, how you are going to put it together. Then you have to put it together, isn't it? It's all one thought at a time. That's why writing takes so long. Correct? Is one thought at a time. Now, is the Veda revealed like that? Veda is revealed not thought by thought, but by Maya Upadhi itself. Brahman does not require a mind to reveal the Veda. Maya Upadhi itself is the mind. That Maya Upadhi has all knowledge, indicated by Hiranyagarbha. Why? It is not Maya alone that is creating it. Maya Shablam Brahman. Maya based on Brahman becomes sentient enough for the revelation of the Veda. And he says, what else is he saying there? Why do you say Vedaha Nityaha? Veda has Pravaha Nityatvam. Now what is Pravaha Nityatvam? As it was in the previous Kalpa, the same it is in this Kalpa also. Therefore, Kalpa to Kalpa to Kalpa, it is created as same. Therefore, at the end of the Kalpa, what happens? It becomes unmanifest. Everything is into Pralayana. Then next Kalpa, Brahman reveals it again. So, that's how it is looked at. Pravaha Nityatvam, not timelessness. Nityam as timeless is only Brahman. But Pravaha Nityatvam. continuous. It's like saying, this is the Ganga on which the rishis did tapas. I bow down to him. The same water that the rishis did tapas is what you are taking. Same rover, but not the same water. Why? Water keeps flowing. Pravaha nityatva. Similarly, in every kalpa, there is a Veda with aneka shaka, etc. All that is from Brahma. Therefore, nityatvam of the Veda is apekshitam. Okay? Is of a limited nature. As continuous. Their nitya is continuous. Whereas nityatvam of Brahman is what? Timelessness. When time is there, Brahman is there. Dismiss time, Brahman is there. It is not enough to say, oh, Brahman is a reality that is there in the past, present and future. That's continuous. What about when time is not there? Then also Brahman is there. Can you see the difference between the two? Something coffee nahi piye kya? People are looking a bit sleepy. Okay. That's why when you used to have two classes in Bandra, in between you used to have a small cup of tea for those who are sitting there. Subjan thoda awake hoke. Second class was Brahma Sutra. Okay, the Purvapaksha Siddhanta in summary, clear? It's an introduction.
Swamiji,
Yeah?
Swamiji, during Pralaya, it is Veda gets.
What happens to Maya in Pralaya?
Maya.
In Pralaya, what happens to Maya?
Unmanifest.
Exactly.
Unmanifest, of course.
Exactly. So when Maya is unmanifest and Maya Shakti along with Brahman, Maya Shabalam Brahman has all knowledge. So what will happen to all the knowledge of the Veda?
It is unmanifest.
Unmanifest, exactly. Yeah. In fact, which is true for anything, no? All knowledge, whether the knowledge of physics, chemistry, etc., are we inventing them or are we trying to understand them? If you are inventing a knowledge, you can't invent knowledge. You can invent a literary work, something, a fiction of your imagination. You can put a poetry. No, that you can invent. That's not knowledge. And that also, how much is the invention? You're dealing with emotions. Poetry, you're dealing with emotions. Emotions already existed before you wrote it down. Yeah. So all knowledge belongs to Ishvara actually. We discover it, we understand it, and naturally our understanding is limited. That's why we keep upgrading and correcting it all the time. Because as new facts are discovered, we are updating our knowledge. It is not that the knowledge is wrong, but we have to update it because we are discovering new facts. Our mind is limited. Our mind is limited, therefore, we have limited understanding of the whole thing. Yeah. Limited understanding, limited knowledge. Yeah. Like for example, we are searching for a grand unified theory in science. How can I be also? We can't be sure. But we say it should be there because knowledge is one whole. Therefore, something unifying all the forces should be there. A common basis for everything, connecting everything should be there. If it is there, we can discover it in time. Hopefully. All this I have to add. These conditional causes I have to add. Okay? And say you discovered it. It's already part of Ishvara's knowledge. We are discovering it. We are understanding it. So knowledge already exists. Knowledge already exists. Yeah, Karthik, you have a question.
So, in fact, Swamiji, they say that large portions of the Vedas have already been kind of lost.
Yeah.
So that means as
Yes.
far as the human mind is concerned, it's already become unmanifest, right? Am I-
Yeah, it is not large portion of the Veda is unmanifest. There are what is known as shakas. Okay? Branches. Like say you have Yajurveda. You will have a number of shakas for the Yajurveda. Okay? Shakas are branches. There is very little difference between one and the other. Okay? Between one shaka and the other. There's some little difference there, the way certain chanting happens, etc. etc. Okay? So, थोड़ा इधर उधर फर्क हो जाएगा. Minimalistic. The basic thing is the same, but in the way it is chanted, the way it's the sequencing order, etc., may be slightly different. So, if there is nobody who chants it regularly, those shakas will be lost. So, a lot of shakas have been lost. Okay? So, a vast portion of the shakas have been lost. But are the Vedas available now? Yes, they are available. All the 4 Vedas are available. And Yajurveda having Krishna Yajurveda and Shukla Yajurveda. 2 aspects. All that is available. Okay. Again, between Krishna Yajurveda and Shukla Yajurveda, very little differences. Yeah. Some Upanishads are there here, are there in the other one, that way. But that's why it's not considered as a shaka. So, minor things like this, differences are there. They have been missing. Correct. Many of the shakas have been lost, not available. But the Veda, available. And this is here is where we have to thank the so-called ritualists, the Veda parties. Okay. We say na karmana, na moksha, etc. That is true. But you have to thank the Veda parties. They were walking CD-ROMs. Walking, talking CD-ROMs who preserved the whole thing with the inflections of the chant, everything. They preserved it. Like remember today, if I am a Veda party, the chances of me coming to moksha are not very high. Really, not very high. Because I am so committed to that, keeping the chanting thing going, very, very few Veda parties will come to Vedanta. I mean, if I know 100, maybe 1% or 2 people will come. Very few priests will come to sannyasa, even though there is an option for them to do that. Okay? I have known only 2 people. One is Swami Omkarananda, he was a priest before. Okay? He had done his nirvana, graduation. And then instead of going to become a priest and acharya, after graduation you have 2 more steps in the Agama traditions. An assistant priest, sadhaka acharya. And to be a full-fledged acharya, you have to first get married. One of the qualifications for being a full-fledged acharya is you have to get married. You need a better half with you. Otherwise you can't be an acharya. Okay. Because some rituals can be done only if you are a grahastha. And you don't become a grahastha just by owning a house. That we are all grahasthas, no? I am also staying in my own apartment. But we are not grahasthas, we are sannyasis. Grahastha you become only if you have a partner in life. Okay? A wife if you have, or a husband if you have, then you are a grahastha. So, Omkaranji was one. Another was the one who gave Brahmachari Diksha to Puja Swamiji, to Swami Dayananji. Many, many years later, about 20-25 years back, Okay. That means about 50 years after he had given Brahmachari Diksha to Swamiji, he became. Brahmachari Diksha is the cross building, Gayatri Upadesha. That is, Swamiji did it when he was 6-year-old or something. So 50 years after that, he took sannyasa. So now look at it. By being a Veda party, in a way, you are blocking your moksha for all practical purposes. But we have to be thankful for them for preserving this tradition. No? Yeah. Even though we can be critical and say, come on, they're stuck in that, they're not. Baat hai. But look at the sense of what they're doing also. Respect that part of it also. Okay? Alright. Then after that, okay?
Swamiji, I had a question.
Shoot.
Time thing, no? Like they say, this moment is the moment, right? So like the past is now, the present is now, the future is now. So that is the time which is I heard with the Pujya Swamiji's one lecture, like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, that one the thing, the past, present, and the future, the moment. So the Brahman, how do we say? Is it that nowness it is, or it is beyond that? I was like, I'm just confused with the two.
Now, if you are looking at Brahman through time, from the standpoint of time, you will say it is ever the present. There is no past and future. Since statements like this were made, all this stuff about living in the present and all came up. Okay. But living in the present is very often not understood properly by people. They say, no, just now. Then I'm feeling hungry. Okay, eat food now. Banaya nahi hai. Should have planned that earlier. So then what is living in the now? In the now, I analyze my past. In the now, I plan for the future. So living in the present only means you are not carrying the baggage of the past or worry, anxiety, etc. of the future. So Karma Yoga Buddhi with very alert, awareful living. More than that you cannot be. That's why long back I had written a small article called The Tyranny of Now. Not just the living in the now, the tyranny of now. Yeah. How these type of ideas rule our lives and make a mess of it. So the tyranny of what now is. So too much of these things are okay. The eternal now. Yeah. So eternal now is your nature, or you have to do something about it. What is it? When I say
nature, no?
It's your nature.
exactly, it's your nature, what are you going to do about it? Are we saying your functional life is in the eternal now?
No.
In your functioning life, there is a linear idea of time. Right now, what we are exposed to is linear idea of time. At the cosmic level, it is cyclic. By the 4 yugas, pralaya, etc., it is cyclic at the cosmic level. At the individual level, it appears as linear. So there is nothing you can do about it except live a life very awarefully, consciously, deliberately. What now it is that living in the present has gained a new term, mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Being alert and conscious here. Come on. Deliberate about things. Not mechanical in your thinking. Drop the mechanicalness of your thinking. Because we end up overthinking everything. So I say some word in the class and your mind is triggered off into some other direction. No, avoid that. Pull it back. Be with the topic. So that being aware for deliberate, etc. Okay. So now the Tritiya Adhikarana is one of the smaller Adhikaranam. Okay. It's called Shastra Yonitvadi Adhikaranam. Okay. So we saw Athato Brahma Jignasaha Janmadyasyetaha, and now Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra Yonitvat is repeated twice because Vishato Mukham, there is another way of looking at it as well. Okay? So it's repeated twice when you say it. Then he goes ahead in the Bhashya to say Shastraha Yonihi Yaha. The Shastra Yoni is from whom? The cause. Shastra se karanam Brahma iti. Brahman iti adhyavrityam. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Then kim tad Brahman? Janmadhyasya yataha Brahman. Similarly here, Shastraha Yoni Brahman. It comes down. Brahman comes down in all of them. Okay, Adhyara is brought forward. Okay, Shastra Yonitva. Then he says, Mahataha Rigvedadehe Shastrasya Aneka Vidyasthana Upabramhitasya Pradeepa Vastu Sarvartha Arthatvadya Atinena Sarvajnasya Sarvajna Kalpasya Yonihi Karanam Brahman. Okay. Mahata Rigvedadehe Shastrasya. The great Rigveda, etc., which is so voluminous. Mahata here is the voluminous. Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva Vedaha, voluminous. Okay. Anek Vidya Sthana Upabramhitasya. Not only it is talking about something, it is like one subject matter. Like if you are talking about Paniniya Shastra, voluminous, okay, 4,000 sutras, okay, it's almost 4 times the size of Brahma Sutras. Voluminous work, okay, but it is talking only of grammar. What about this Shastra? This Shastra, Aneka Vidya Sthanasya. To understand the Veda, you will need what? Purana. These are all called Upavedas or Vedangas. Okay? You need the Purana stories to understand what the Veda is talking about. Okay? You need Nyaya, logic. You need Mimamsa, analysis. Now the analysis presented in the Shastra as far as Vedanta is concerned and Mimamsa in the first section is different. Because analysis is not always the same for everything. So for Mimamsa, then Dharma Shastra. Dharma is presented in the Veda, but it has to be interpreted, situational. In fact, every generation has to do it. But there have been a few writers who said, okay, for this Yuga, this is the thing. Like Manu, for example. So Satya Yuga, etc. is okay. Then Kali Yuga hai gaya. Parasharaha, his interpretations. But it is not that in Kali Yuga is 24,000 years. So it has to be interpreted again and again and again. So that is called Dharma Shastra. Sikshaha, phonetics. The meaning changes with the phonetics. Like when you are describing Devi, there is an expression in Saundarya called Nasikaha. Nasika means one who has got a beautiful nose. Supposing, like I have seen some people pronouncing it as Nashikaha. Whole meaning changes. Nasika means one with a beautiful nose. Nashika means one who destroys. So invoking her to destroy whatever you have. So, Siksha, okay. Phonetics important. Kalpaha. Kalpa is, the Veda mentions the rituals, all the mantras here, this thing here, that thing there, this thing. How do you connect it upon and do it? Iti kartavyam tam it is called. How, this is exactly how it is to be done. That is called kalpa. Then Vyakarnam, grammar. Without grammar, how are you going to understand the meaning? Niruktam. Niruptam is etymological meaning of Vedic words. Okay, Yaska's Niruptam it is called. Then Chandasam, meter, because things are in a certain meter. Jyotisham. Jyotisham includes astronomy and astrology both. Astronomy, you need to know which planet is what where. Like today, what is the planet that is there? Which is the star that is ascendant today? How do you decide the muhurta of when are you supposed to do this puja? Of all the times we are choosing rainy season to do the Bhumi puja, it was messy because we had to go to 8 places in the land, 8 corners of the land we had to go. And the rain is all not muddy. So you're slipping and carrying stuff and slipping. Why? Because muhurta, that is the time. Now, for to know muhurta, you need to know astrology and interpretation of that astrology in terms of saying which is the best time for doing it. Which is the best time for doing it? Now, how do you know which is the best time? Oh, when these planets are like this, like this, like this. When these planets are in this fashion, then you will. This is the phalam. It leads to success and things. It leads to better things. Okay. Or this puja has to be done only when this planet is an ascendant. So you need astronomy as well as astrology both for it. Jyotisham includes both. Astronomy is purely scientific. Astrology is esoteric. It's the study of karma. All this for what? To get into the Veda, okay? All this to get into the Veda. So in some ways, studying to be a priest is more elaborate than being a Vedanta Acharya, okay? ये सब ज्ञान है. All right. Therefore, अनेक विद्यास्थानस्य, okay? I took off from there. अनेक विद्या. अनेक विद्यास्थान उपभ्रमेतस्य प्रदीपवत्, like a lamp, sarvartha bodhyanah. Brahman is consciousness. It illumines all knowledge like a lamp illumining knowledge. Therefore, he says, okay, sarvajna kalpasya, sarvajna tulyasya. To have effortlessly revealed this Veda, the person has to be like a sarvajna, all-knowing. Therefore, yoni. Yoni means what? Karanam Brahman. Therefore, the Karanam for Veda cannot be anyone else other than Brahman itself. Maya Shablam Brahma. Brahman manifests through Maya. Another term would be Jagat Karanam Brahman, Ishvaraha. Now you understand why in the second sutra also Jagat Karanatvam was mentioned as Lakshana for Brahman. Because how do you explain Sarvajna? Sarvajna, when you are talking about, Ishvara comes into the picture. No? Jagat Karanatvam. Jagat Karanatvam is enough to know Sarvajna. But more than that, the Veda itself. So you will find in the Veda, some scientific facts will be mentioned. Okay? Which 30 years ago when we heard them, we thought Veda was wrong. Like it was mentioned, Drito vai ayuhu. Ghee is life. So that time all the American companies were doing propaganda and selling us palm oil. We used to use ghee, coconut oil, til oil, mustard oil. Predominantly, these 3-4 oils were used in cooking. Groundnut oil also, 4 oils I used. Dhruto, no, that is not true. Ghee is cholesterol, etc. Now what are they saying? Hey, ghee takes care of your dementia issues, have a little bit of ghee, have a little bit of coconut oil. You need that cholesterol for brain function. Now ghee is coming back as superfood. And typical as superfood, as Americans go, they will overdo it. Bulletproof coffee, put a spoonful of ghee in your coffee. Hey, that's not how you're supposed to have ghee. You're supposed to have ghee a little bit with your food. Not coffee mein ghee dal ke. All this nonsense Americans will start. I don't know what to do. Okay, Karanam is Brahman, alright. And then he adds here, he says, Nahi idrishyasya shastrasya Rigvedadi lakshanasya Sarvajna guna anvitasya Sarvajnaha anyataha sambhavaha asti. The Veda itself looks like Sarvajnaha. Why? Let us say science, the study of science, we are looking at whatever is conditioned by time and space, and we are studying time and space itself, isn't it? Meaning one dimension. Veda is describing 14 dimensions. Veda is describing karma, karma phala. The jiva's journey. Is there any scientific evidence for rebirth? You don't have to have. You don't have to have. That is the esoteric knowledge that belongs to the Veda. That belongs to Veda. That's not the subject matter of science. By the very definition of science, that is not the subject matter. Though there are some scientists who try to sort of study into that and look at some sort of idea because it fascinates people. The idea of birth, death, rebirth, etc. fascinates me. I mean, this is not new. 78 years ago, there was one Dr. Collins who did a lot of studies in this rebirth and things like that. No? He even managed to contact some spirits who had left the earth. All that. Now you have to believe him. Now, either you can believe him, I choose to believe the Veda. Okay. It's okay if you want to believe him, then I have no issues on that. Because believe anyway. Maybe right, maybe wrong. No? That's the very nature of belief. I would choose to believe the Veda. If that is what I am doing, then the Veda. Therefore, he says such a Veda, which is like Sarvajnaha, Sarva Gunanvitasya. Okay? God of all types of gunas, so many things are being mentioned. I mean, what all does this thing? So because of that, it's Sarva Gunanvitasya. Sarvajnad anyataha na sambhavati. It cannot come from anyone other than a Sarvajnaha. Because how can you talk about 14 dimensions? Which human being will be capable of talking about 14 dimensions? If they say this is what the rishis discovered in their meditation, this is a new one. We try to make it acceptable to the Western world by saying, no, our Veda is different. This was what our rishis understood. True, the rishis understood. But what is the source is not the rishi. The source is not the rishi. The Vedas are not the utterances of mystics. Then you are equating it with the Quran and this thing. The Suras, Muhammad's periodical dreams. And some of them very convenient to what he wanted to do. This is not like that. This is straightforward. Yeah. Because as a human being, we are living in a three-dimensional world. We can appreciate the possibility that there may be other dimensions. With our understanding of time, space, and the bending of space, etc., we can appreciate a possibility of another dimension. But when will a three-dimensional figure like us understand the fourth dimension? And here we are talking about 14 dimensions. It cannot come from anyone other than Sarvajna. Okay. Then he gives you a logic for that. Another logic. Yad विस्तारार्थम शास्त्रम यस्मात् पुरुष विशेषात् संभवति. Let us take a huge body of literature or work, okay, ekadesha, that comes from one individual, okay, huge amount of work. Yat purusha visheshat sambhavati. It can be Einstein's theory of relativity, for example. Huge work. Or it can be like here in the example it gives, Yatha Vyakarnadi Paninendehe. Like Vyakarnas, Panini Sutras from Panini. Nyeya Ekadeshartham api. It is what? Nyeya Ekadesham. It is one aspect. It is one aspect, one perspective of the reality that we are dealing with. One aspect of it. Okay. Tataha atyad adhikatasya vijnanam iti prasiddham loke. Now the one who has made it, let us say Panini wrote the Panini Sutras. Definitely he had more knowledge than what he wrote. In most people, if I know something, I can speak about it. But I can write more than I can speak. Because time milta hai na, soch ke, ye sab karke, this cover, I'll cover this, I will cover that. Whereas speaking spontaneously is more difficult for most people. Already, therefore, you can say what you know, but you can write more. But you definitely know more than what you have written, isn't it? Let us say you write a doctoral thesis. Okay, thesis likha, aisa. Arey yaar, this I left out, that I left out. How will I cover that? One postdoc papers, that's why papers come up. Well, you always know more than what you have written. And in traditional literature like Panini, etc., Patanjali Bhashya comes in. Bhattarji Dikshita's rearrangement of the Panini Sutras into Siddhanta Comedy comes in. Why? Because you know more than what you have written. Meaning the work that you have created, you know more than that. Iti prasiddham loke, he says. This is well known in the world. So kya ho gaya? So the source of the Veda should be more knowledgeable than all the Vedas. The one who has written the Veda should know more than that what is written. Even if you are counting all the hundreds of Veda shakas that were there, the source will definitely know more than that. इतना तो बता दिया और बहुत कुछ है. Okay, for which he gives a okay. किमु वक्तव्यम् अनेक शाखा भेद विन्यस्य देव तिर्यं मनुष्य वर्णाश्रमादि प्रविविग हेतोः ऋग्वेदादि संख्यां सर्वज्ञ कारकस्य अप्रयत्नेन लीला अन्येन पुरुषान् निश्वसितात् यस्मात् भूतात् योनिः. So that means what? He says, what is there to say? Like aneka shaka veda bhinnasya. Having so many shakas, some 1,000 shakas are there for the 4 Vedas, okay, altogether. Deva Tiryang Manushya. Dealing with Deva, Tiryang and Manushya. It deals with life of Devas, Nagas, etc. Devatas, Indradi. Okay. Tiriyan, animal forms. Okay. Animal forms which are Devatas, like Garuda Ityadi. Okay. Manushya, human beings. Varnashrama Dharma. According to Sattva Rajas Tamas. Okay. Guna Karma Vibhagayoho. It talks about all of that. Okay. Talks about all of that. Okay. Rig Vedadi Akhyasya, which is called as Rig Veda Ityadi. Sarvajna Karasya Sarvajnaha. Why? Aprayatnena, effortlessly, Leela Nyayena, as though it is a game, a play. Okay. Purushaha Nishwasitat. Nishwasita. He breathed, Ishwarena Nishwasitam Veda. He breathed out. Meaning, there was an effortlessness in his revelation. It's something like this. Class. Someone asked me a question. Simple, I give an answer. I don't say, I have to refer that, I'll come next time. Why? It's all here. So my mind will have much more than what I have said here. No? So what about Ishvara? When he effortlessly revealed the whole Veda, what should be his mind? Achintya Rupam. You can't even think about it. Okay? Therefore we can only say Sarvajnaha. Sarvajnaha iti. Because of the effortlessness. See, that part is also important. Why? Because our knowledge is a process of struggle. Thought by thought by thought. Ishvara's knowledge is effortless. It's a small story about this. There was a great scholar in Tamil Nadu called Uddanda Shastri. Okay, Uddanda Shastri. And very great scholar, debates, discussion, etc. Nobody could touch him. In fact, he would walk into the debate with either him or his students chanting this sloka. Palayidvam, palayidvam, re re durvada varinaha. Run, run, flee. Durvada. Those people are useless in their discussion. The elephants who are they may be great, but they are useless in their discussion. Why? Ayati Vedanta Vana Sanchari. Namna Uddanda Kesari. The lion of Vedanta is coming. Okay. Called Uddanda Kesari. This was. So, nobody could defend him. And after that time, this guy became so cocky, he trained a parrot to answer all the questions. A speaking parrot. So, before you end up a discussion with him, you have to have a discussion with the parrot. If the parrot cannot answer you, only then he will get into the discussion. The height of cockiness it was. So, there were some Nambudris from Kerala. I said, yeah, we can't have this going like that. Okay. So, Kerala tantrics are very good in these things. Okay. So, there is a huge tantric havan. So that a boy will be born who will be able to take on and defeat this guy. He was called Kakasheri Pateri. Some of the Mallus may have heard about it. Kakasheri Pateri. So at 15-16, he went for this debate with Uddanda Shastri. So as they were going for the day, a black cat crossed the road. Oh, Dushagunam, Apashagunam. You believe in all these things, This is not a good omen. So, Kakasheri said, grab that cat and put it in your bag. So, took the cat, put it in the bag. Come. And so we went there. So, he said, I come for a Vada Bhiksha with you. So, this guy put the parrot in a cage in front. Debate with my parrot first. So Kageshwari said, I have not come to debate with a parrot. Your parrot can debate with my cat. You want a cat in front. What do you think will happen to the parrot when there's a cat sitting in front? He will not open his mouth. Fear. Now we will have a debate. So one after the other, one point after the other. The point was what? One small bag of gold coins. One point you win, the gold coin comes here. They are kept in the center, you can take. You have won that debate. So some 96, 97 points. This youngster is winning. And Kakeshwari was, Uddanta Shastri was going to have a love game, No point at all. He is one of the greatest scholars in there. No, 1 point also he couldn't salvage. So he said, I am older than you, therefore I need one of the points. He says, no, my escort is older than you. So that point also comes to me. Then the last point, it seems, Uddanta Shastri stood up from his seat, lifted his dhoti and showed his butt to Kakeshwari. And Kakeshwari took the last of the bag of coins and threw it at him. What is this exchange? This is also a meaningful point. What is the meaningfulness there? Hey, my scholarship is out of hard work. Look at the calluses on my butt. I sat on the ground and studied all this. You were born blessed. So for my effort I need. Yes, sir, correct, you deserve that. So, all our learning and creation is out of a lot of effort. Ishwarena Nishwasitam Veda, effortless revelation. Okay. So that story was to highlight this. Okay. Effortless revelation. So the effortlessness of the revelation, okay, shows that. Okay. And where Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishwasitam Etadrigvedaha Ityadi Shrutehe. With all these type of Shruti, Tasya Mahato Bhutasya Nirtishayatvam Sarvajnatvam Shaktimatram Cheti. Therefore, as the source of the Veda, Ishvara has to be Sarvajnaha Sarvashakti, because he has created Sarvashakti, and because he has revealed the Veda, Sarvajnatvam. Yeah, but remember, he has mentioned the Vedas here, but it includes all branches of knowledge. Pratamal Malla Nyayena. Therefore, as the source of all knowledge, Ishvara. Clear about this? Shastra Yonitva, Brahman Jagat Karanam or Ishvara Sarvajnaha. Why? Shastra Yonitva. Because he is the Yoni Karanam of the Shastra. And Jagat Karanatva Sarvashakti. All your Anumana is only supporting logic to understand. The Shruti reveals it. Is there scientific evidence that Ishvara has revealed the Veda? No. Other than the internal evidence in the Veda, the internal evidence saying that this has been revealed, there is no other evidence. Ishvara is not scientific. Ishvara is not a subject matter for studying science. Science has been, the source of science is Ishvara. You can study that and be blessed. It is not that we are saying, like some primitive religions, science is wrong. No, you are not saying that. In the time when this book was revealed, science was not there. Therefore, why are you using science now? There is a story of this. One mullah got into a taxi in New York. Okay, and the driver was playing some music. So that is haram. There was no music in the time of Muhammad. Shut it down. The taxi driver unlocked the door. Time of Muhammad there was no taxi. Go wait for your camel. He's right. Now if you are going to use it like that, use it all the way like that. We don't say, we said all this is Ishvara's glory. All this is Ishvara's glory. Sarvajnaha, from Sarvajna all this has come. How well or how little we understand is our issue. We may not understand it completely. That is our problem, the limitation of my mind. The knowledge is there, awaiting discovery. So use it. What's the problem of using Ishvara's glories? No issues. No issues. Yeah. So, Sarvajnaha, Ishvaraha, Tasya Nishwasitam Veda. In fact, Veda, all knowledge revealed by Ishvara, therefore Sarvajnaha. Whether science, physics, psychology, anything, all come from Ishvara. Finance also. Why? The principles. Remember, what Ishvara has revealed are the principles. When you apply it, you are creating structures. The structure is a possibility in the creation. Share market, it's a possibility in the creation. It's a possibility in the creation. That's why you could do it. And the possibility came into this thing with studying the principles of convergence. 20 years back, we used to talk about convergence. It's a fact now. The smartphone is convergence of technologies. And now you're putting AI also into it. And if the artificial intelligence is there, artificial emotions also will come into the picture. I'm telling you, I'm guaranteeing you that. As it is, what you have an emotional connect with your phone. Separation causes anxiety. That means the connection is emotional. So all this is part of the game. Stupidity probably is natural, not artificial. But there will be varieties coming up which are got an artificial base. So all this is Ishvara's glory. No problems. God has not said develop up to here and then don't use it. Yes, Bhagavan said don't destroy the planet, etc. All that is there. So environmental science is also part of Ishvara's order. You can't destroy what he has given to you. It's a given. So you can't destroy it. So that part of it is also there. Yes. So the principles are mentioned. All our Panchabhuma Yajnas talk about the connection and everything. So that is it. Tasmat Ishvaraha Sarvajnaha Jagat Karanam Brahma Sarvajnaha. Then the second part of the sutra, the second interpretation of the sutra, okay, we will talk about in the next class. Okay, next class will be not next Sunday. Next Sunday is the Guru Purnima celebrations, acknowledging the parampara. Okay, so those who are in Bombay, I hope to see for that and for that. And that good place to stop. Om Tat Sat.